just around this time, towards the end of October, starting of November, students start getting this feeling that maybe I should just go home. Maybe it just doesn't make sense to have to come to Germany, to US, to Canada, whatever, that I'm here and nothing makes sense because in India, खाना बढ़िया था, climate बढ़िया था, temperature बढ़िया था, pollution की दूसरी story है. Okay. But generally, like when you are talking about these kind of scenarios, when you start feeling a lot of discomfort towards the starting of winters in Germany or in Europe in general, this really has a lot of factors attached to it. And let's just count it, right? The first one is temperature. Like the temperature is so much colder than what you have experienced in most of your life in India, especially when you come from the south. In the south, you generally have warmer climates, so of course, it's a lot more colder here. The second biggest problem that I see is students who have never lived by themselves, right? If you have never lived by your own, it's actually a huge problem because then all of a sudden you come to Germany and you're living alone. You have all of these additional factors which are just playing a huge role in this. But you are also having to deal with all of these things alone for the first time in your life, right? Students who have already lived in hostels or who have lived alone, who have worked by themselves, things like that, they do not face such dramatic problems as much as people who are going out for the first time. Recently, I was having a talk with one of the students from the big academy who was enrolled in complete course of studying in Germany. And we were having just a general chat, and turns out that this student also like never left their home. So they were living with their parents for most of their life, all of their life. And the family was close by, grandparents were close by, everybody was in the same city. So it was a very nice and comfortable feeling of having everybody around. And for the first time, you leave home and you go abroad. So of course, it's going to be some discomfort. So for me, it was not so dramatic in the starting because I was already living in a hostel for 4 years because I did my BTech from a different city from where I was living in. And of course, the house was still close by. It was still a 2-hour travel, but I still had an experience of living by myself, just arranging food on your own and like, going to different kind of like restaurants and dhabas and things like that, because I studied in the city of Murthal. And if you're in the northern Indian region, you know that Murthal is famous for their dhabas. There are, I think, like 40 or 50 dhabas like in line, one next to each other when you go to Murthal. So that was really fun. Like we were actually going very frequently there. So you get this understanding of, okay, like if you don't have the comforts of your home, what kind of other things can you do to make your life still a little bit nicer? I'm not saying healthier essentially, but nicer, because in the starting, like you just want to like cope up with things till the time you set a new benchmark for yourself, you have a new understanding and you say, okay, like, now I feel comfortable, now I can start improving things again. Now, the next thing, I was like listing all the points, right? So like you are having nobody around you, you're having very colder climates, you generally have no friends. I mean, I still know that many people who are coming for English short programs, they have friends because they're generally coming from the same city, things like that. If you come from Hyderabad, Bangalore, all of these like, South Indian cities, Mumbai even, like you have generally a lot of people from the same city coming, and sometimes even the same universities. In the north, the craze for Germany is still not that high when you compare it with the south. Then you have environment, completely different environment. Language, completely different language. Now, here's the thing. I have traveled a lot with Alina. So we have been to Japan, to Thailand, to Vietnam, Maldives. We have been to so many countries in Europe and so on. Here's the problem, right? So when you go to the country for the first time where you don't speak the language, the first feeling that I get is, यार मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा किस टाइप की sounds जो है मेरे चारों तरफ आ रही है, मुझे कुछ भी समझ नहीं आ रहा. I don't understand anything. It's just a buzz. It is buzz, buzz, buzz. People are speaking, but you're not understanding anything. And this can actually be very disorienting because, look, as humans, right, like we are, of course, also thinking about what kind of like dangers could be around us, what kind of things could be going wrong, things like that. And this is the reason why I also think that if you don't understand the language, it's a big, big problem, because all of a sudden you are also not understanding if there's something like of importance being said somewhere. You have to understand all of these factors because all of these factors are causing you to feel this way, right? Then you're having the time change. The time all of a sudden changes towards the last weekend of October. Last weekend of October, the clocks go ahead 1 hour. That means you are generally having the morning a little bit earlier, like the daylight is coming a little bit early in the morning, but it gets dark very, very early. Like it gets dark at 5 for sure, 4:30, 4, and then towards the deep winters, it already becomes dark at 3 o'clock. So just think about it. You have light from 9, it gets dark at 3, you have 6 hours of daylight, and even daylight is not proper daylight. Daylight is just gray skies, and just you just feel like, okay, it's light outside, but you don't see the sun, right? Not seeing the sun is a big problem, and that's why what many people recommend is that you're also having these like lights and stuff which are generally warmer in color. So you're not having, like, for example, here it looks very bright, but this is pretty warm. It's like a yellowish lamp that I have. These kind of things really help you to kind of still keep the cycles that you generally have, because yellow light makes you wake up, and then you're having towards the end like more dark outside, and when you see the dark outside you want to sleep. And when you're just having dark outside, then you're never really in the mood of doing anything. I generally struggle a lot with winters, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because I know there are many other students who feel the same way. Then afterwards, I told you about the time change, I told you about the daylight. So like if you like list out all of these factors, right? Let's take a look at the factors. The first one is the food. Food is different. Like you have to do your own things. You have to arrange your own food, right? Then you're having friends. Generally, you don't have so many friends here. Then environment. Then you have the language. Then temperature. Then time change and the reduction in daylight. So it's extremely important for you to remember that like it is not you feeling this way without any kind of reason whatsoever. It is you feeling this way because of certain factors, because of certain outside influences that you cannot really do anything about. The only thing that you can do in this scenario is have some kind of patience, wait it out, and understand that this is a new feeling that you're feeling right now, which you never had before. So you can either take it as an excitement with the idea that, okay, this is going to definitely end someday. It is not going to continue forever, right? So summers will come, and summers are going to be so bright and sunny, and it's going to be so much nicer. And winters are also like, if you think about it, like they're also like nice in their own way, that you have Christmas markets and things like that. Like you have Christmas markets, you have so many different stalls for glühwein, for different kind of sweets, things like that. So you can also go to the Christmas markets, which already start, I think, towards the starting of December or like end of November. They already start getting set up, which is very nice. So you can like already have a lot of nice time there too. So you should have things that you look forward to. If you're not having things that you look forward to, it's very easy to fall into a hole where you don't want to do anything, where you are just constantly demotivated. And the only solution that you see is quickly going back to the only place that you know, which provides you some kind of comfort, which is home. But when you do that, you do not really develop your character, because here's the thing, like you are faced with some kind of struggle, some kind of outside force, and your reaction was not to actually stand and understand the feeling and figure out a solution to this, but quickly like run back home. So that just does not develop you, because development only comes when you're facing some kind of discomfort. So that's what I would really recommend, that like, just see that, understand that this is a feeling which is temporary, because in Europe, the highs and the lows are extreme. The high is you're having such beautiful summers, and you have the lows of like just very depressing winters, and you have to like live between these things. So also the low makes the high feel much, much higher. So I'm like very happy with the summers in Europe. I also think the winters are not so bad, because you have heating systems in your houses. And in Turkey, spending the winters was absolutely horrible, because the house were not insulated. The house were not insulated. There was no glass full or pyrofoam, things like that in front of the bricks. And it was just directly bricks. And if you're having bricks and you're not having any kind of insulation, you're not having any heating system, then the inside of the house becomes much, much colder than the outside. So that was not a comfortable experience. Now we're back in Denmark, and we really like it. We'll be going to Germany in a week, because Alina has her birthday, and we'll be spending it with her family and so on. So Europe is like not like ill-equipped to spend the winters, but of course you have to understand that there are these kind of like feelings that you can come across. Also, when the winters are starting, you generally are the first time in Germany, right? Because like I feel very sad for people who have to start the winter semester in Germany, because this really is like one of the worst experiences that you can have in terms of like climate and things like that. If you come in the summer semester, if the summer semester is your starting in Germany, dude, like it's just going to be absolutely beautiful, because you have daylight till almost 12 o'clock at night, sometimes even like 12:30 or something. It's already day at 4 in the morning or something, so you just have 4 hours of darkness. So you can do so many things outside, right? But for people who are coming in winter semester, well, this is what you have to deal with. But once you deal with this, summers will come and life is going to be great again. So just understand this. If you have any kind of questions, things like that, you can write to me. If you want to speak to me, you will find the link for that also in the description. And you can share your stories. If you can share your stories on how you cope up with this, what kind of fears you have, and maybe I can make a video about that. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.